Hey everyone, welcome back. So this is my first slow stitch project or piece. As you can see, I've got a little piece in the corner that was my test piece, my take it for a spin and see if I'm gonna like it piece. So I really did enjoy stitching that little piece, and I just did that last night sitting on the couch playing around with it. So I just stitched it down with a blanket stitch around the edges, which of course will come off so that I can connect it to the other piece that's going around it. Once I get everything put where I want it, I've ripped out some pieces from other pieces of material, so I'm gonna start kind of playing with them and laying them around and getting them put where I want them put. So once I get everything tacked in place or basted in place where I want them, then I'll take that blanket stitch out and start connecting all the pieces, with other decorative stitches. I'm going to speed this up a little bit and then we'll come back. A little tidbit about me you might not know is that I own a small independent bookstore. Therefore, I do a lot of reading. It's part of my job, and I enjoy it, which is, again, why it's part of my job. You don't own an independent bookstore without the love of reading. So, that being said, I get a lot of ARCs from publishers since 2020 in the industry that we're in now. I get a lot of ARCs in audiobook form. So stitching, I started out with cross stitching and then moved to embroidery. And that was something that I started doing so that I had something to do with my hands while listening to audiobooks when I wasn't working. So if I'm at home sitting on the couch, I'm not just wasting time playing a game on my phone or something, because I'm one of those people, I can't just sit and stare off into space without something to do with my hands. It's impossible. My brain wanders. So if I am supposed to be able to focus on a book, I have to have something to do with my hands while I'm listening to it. So if I'm not working, putting out books or anything like that at the store, and I'm at home, I need something to do with my hands so that I can focus on the book that I'm listening to. Now this piece I just showed you and what I have folded into this little triangle that I'm now rounding out, I took this piece off of a valance curtain. It's what I'm calling extra large seersucker kind of material. It's kind of thin in places, but it's got this lovely like ripple effect to it. So I cut off a couple of pieces and filled in some holes that I had on my material, but the overall, I had planned to do something else with these. So now that I've filled in those holes with the pieces that I took off of it, I'm going to cut these into circles, and then I'm going to turn these into Suffolk puffs or yo-yos, depending on where you're at or what you heard them called first. I heard them called Suffolk puff first, so that's what I call them. You'll get to watch that, and I'm going to speed this up too. So to make these, it's really quite easy. Once you've got your circle cut out, you just stitch around the edge of your circle in a running stitch and pull it tight to make a little pouch, and then flatten out your pouch once you've sewn it shut. So that's what I'm doing here, is just doing a running stitch around the edges and then pulling it tight and stitching the little opening closed and then flattening it out. And sorry I didn't keep that centered very well. The thread I'm using is a mint colored 6-strand embroidery floss. I don't know the color number right off the top of my head. It was what was already in one of my needles in my little pin cushion right there, and I thought it would be pretty, so I just went with it. So once I finish this one up, I'm just going to kind of play around with them for just a minute and see where I want to put them, and if they're going to turn out like I thought they were going to turn out. But these are the first ones I've ever done. I just kind of really wanted to make them, so I made them. And whether I use them or not is still yet to be determined at this moment. But and then there I'm playing with the hem that came off the curtain to see if that's something I want to use and put on here as a little added texture piece. But again, we're not fully deciding anything just yet on things like that. So here I've pulled my just sewing needle, and again it's already got red sewing thread on it from when I did my other little pin cushion that's sitting to the side right there. So I'm just going to tack all of these pieces into place, and again, I'm going to do short stitches on top and long stitches on the bottom, and this is just to hold everything in place. These will come out super easy once I have all of my other stitches in, holding everything in place itself, but this is just to keep everything from sliding around while I'm stitching on the cloth itself and putting these pieces how I want them. So let's speed this up. I'm probably going to cut some of this off as well. You don't want to watch me do all these tiny little stitches. So I've cut that off, and I've gone in and went ahead and cut out the blanket stitch on the inside edges of that first piece that I did, so that I can now connect it to the pieces around it. And I'm pretty pleased with the layout so far. I'm currently deciding on color, and I decided I want to go with that green that's on the edge, that dark green that's on the edge of that square that I've already started. So all the pieces of thread that I used last night came out of my aughts or remnants pile, which you can see there. So I find the piece that I used last night, and then I find a partial skein of it so that I don't have to break a full skein just yet. So I've started using that, and I've decided on the feather stitch for the edge of this. I really love the look of the feather stitch, and it's a fun stitch to do. It's really easy, but it's just a fun, easy stitch to do, and I enjoy doing it. So there is the number for that thread if you would like to use it in anything you've got going on. I just think it looks really nice against that lighter green. So I'm using 3 strands of the DMC embroidery floss for all of these edge stitches or border stitches. I did use 6 strands of the regular DMC embroidery floss for the butterfly wings, and I used a pearl cotton number 12, I believe, for the Lazy Daisy flower that's right there. And the body and the stamen or no, what is that called? They're little feelers on the butterflies. Anyway, that's a 3 strand of a brown embroidery floss. Stamens are flowers. Flower parts, aren't they? I had that completely mixed up. They're little feelers. Antenna, that's what they are. Little antenna. Whew, having a moment. So I've started my feather stitch. And again, this is a lovely stitch to do, and I just love how pretty it is and it looks once it's done. So I have this sped up a little bit, not a whole lot, because I want you to see how the coming together of this stitch looks without rushing through it. I think I do eventually speed it up a little bit more once you get a good feel for how the stitch is done. I've never had occasion to use this stitch very much. I've always done patterned embroidery, so there's not a lot of feather stitch called for in the kind of embroidery that I have been doing up until now. Even though I like it and I like the look of it, I've never gotten to use it much. I've done it in like practice sessions where you just you practice your stitches and stuff, but as far as using it in a pattern on a consistent basis, I've never done anything that's called for it. I really like the freedom of slow stitch and the concept of slow stitch in these projects like this to really give you the freedom to do the kind of stitches that you like, but also learn new stitches and test your boundaries and even increase your skills. This piece I'm going to do, I didn't intentionally start it this way, but it's ending up that way. I'm going to be doing new stitches that I have just learned, or practicing stitches that I've not had an occasion to use very much that I like the look of. Things of that nature. Using it as a learning piece, as a teaching piece, and seeing what I like and what I don't like, and what works and what doesn't work, and just mostly just staying relaxed. Like, this is what I do of an evening after having worked all day, so I don't want it to be stressful. But I do want to add to my embroidery skills and my stitching knowledge. I think that's a good word for it, my stitching knowledge. So I really do want to add to that and increase my stitch count, maybe, as far as like this number of stitches that not only that I know how to do, but that I can do well. I really have been watching a lot of Jennifer Clouston lately, and I love her motto of you don't have to know a lot of stitches, you just have to know a few and how to do them well. And I'm paraphrasing. I don't know that that's exactly how she says it, but that's the gist of it. That's how she means it. So if you haven't watched Jennifer Clouston, I'll actually tag her in this so you can go and watch her videos. She's amazing. She does beautiful work. So I've actually learned a lot from her lately, and I love that. So I really want to continue that learning and just putting it into practice, not just seeing it and going, oh, that's pretty. I really want to use the things that I learned. So I'm really excited that I found her YouTube page. So again, if you haven't watched her, you are missing out. So I'll definitely tag her in this so that you can go and watch her. But a feather stitch is one of my favorites that I haven't got to do a lot of. So I'm ending this one up here, and right there, I'm trimming off the fuzzies that are kind of sticking out of my stitches on those raw edges. I want to leave the raw edges. I love the look of the raw edges, but I just trimmed up a little bit of the fuzzy parts that were kind of covering up the stitch, so I didn't really take any of the raw edge off. I just kind of trimmed it a little bit. So here I am trying to decide what color to use for this next piece. Since you just saw me untack it, it kind of got a little wonky. I don't know if I had tacked it wrong or if my tacking stitches had shifted. Since I untacked that, I'm going to go ahead and just pick a stitch and stitch that one down too. So today, or not today, but the day that I recorded this video, I had just learned the Cretan stitch, and actually that's the first time I'd even seen or heard of the Cretan stitch, and I was watching YouTube at work, and it was a short. It was in one of the shorts. They were doing the Cretan stitch, so I was like, oh, that's kind of neat looking. So and I don't remember who it was right off the top of my head. If I can go back and find that video, I'll link it as well. So I practiced it because I have a practice piece of canvas at the store and a hoop. So I practiced it, and I practiced it on a larger scale while at work. That's always the case for me. Like, anything I do on that piece of canvas usually always turns out larger than when I'm putting it or using it elsewhere. So like this, I do it pretty small, but at the store when I was practicing it, after I found it, then I did it kind of large. I managed it pretty well. I wasn't 100% pleased with it. Then I had seen another YouTuber do a double, I guess that's what it's called. Like, she did the Cretan stitch like after I found it in that short, and I started going back looking for it and to really see how it's done. Then I found this other lady who had done it in a slow stitch project. She had done a single row of it and then went back and put a second row on top of the first row that she done, and I really liked how that looked. I'll try to find that video and link it as well. So now I'm pretty close to the end of this video, so I'll just be leaving you with me doing this stitch. I'll come back at a later date and show you what all I've gotten done with it, how many other stitches I've added since this video. So I kind of want to keep you, this will be my first slow stitch project, so I want to keep you up to date on it. But ta-ta for now.